Most cities grow slowly. This one doesn't have that luxury. Deep in the desert, a $100 billion master plan is racing the clock, promising to deliver homes, transit, power, and jobs on a timeline that makes veteran builders sweat. The renderings look effortless: shaded boulevards, clean electric transit, mirrored towers gliding above palm-lined parks. The reality is a countdown. Contracts are signed, milestones fixed, penalties looming. If they miss a quarter, the schedule snaps. So the question isn't just can they build it, it's can they finish it fast enough to matter. Why attempt a city here at all? Because the strongest growth markets are shifting, and governments in arid regions are racing to diversify away from hydrocarbons. A new city is a policy instrument. It absorbs population, magnetizes investment, and signals seriousness to global capital. But $100 billion isn't a blank check. It's a test. The only way this works is if every subsystem, land, utilities, mobility, industry, housing, locks together like gears and spins from day one. We've seen versions of this before. Mostar aimed for carbon neutrality, then learned that perfect can strangle progress. Lusail dazzled with waterfronts, then labored to balance commuters with residents. NOM grabbed headlines with audacity but fought physics, logistics, and sequence. The lesson is clear: vision sells, phasing saves. Start with a spine, not the sparkle. The spine here is practical and brutal. Phase 1 funds what Phase 2 needs. That means 3 early anchors: a jobs district with leasable floor space that throws off cash, a housing trench people can actually move into, and a utility backbone sized for expansion without costly do-overs. Think of it as urban venture building: prove traction, reinvest aggressively, and only then pour money into signature icons. Let's put shape to the money. Say the plan targets 400,000 residents at maturity with a jobs ratio of 0.6. That's 240,000 jobs, which requires roughly 12 million square meters of commercial and light industrial space over 20 years. If Phase 1 aims for 80,000 residents and 40,000 jobs by year 5, you need about 2 million square meters of employment space, 20,000 to 30,000 housing units, and mobility that keeps average door-to-door trips under 35 minutes in the heat of August. Miss those, and the narrative turns. Mobility has to cheat the sun. Asphalt bakes, so walkability depends on shade, wind, and microclimate, not slogans. The fast answer is a 3-layer system: high-capacity electric transit on a central corridor, autonomous shuttles fanning through superblocks, and last 50-meter comfort engineered with colonnades, misting, and native canopy. The cost isn't trivial, but the payoff is massive. Spend a few billion up front. Avoid a car-locked culture that later costs tens of billions to undo. Power and water decide whether a desert city thrives or apologizes. That means pairing utility-scale solar with firm capacity, grid interties, battery farms, and possibly modular reactors if regulation and perception align. Water must be desalination plus ruthless reuse. Every liter of wastewater should return as irrigation or non-potable supply. District cooling isn't a luxury, it's a survival technology. Done right, peak demand flattens, air quality rises, and operating costs fall. Done wrong, bills soar and residents opt out. Here's the contrast most pitch decks dodge: iconic design versus operational credibility. A skyline shot gets you clicks. 10-minute maintenance access to chilled water loops gets you uptime. Smart glass, solar shading, and orientation do more for occupant comfort than another millimeter of mirror polish. Residents won't post videos about valve rooms, but they will renew leases because their utility bills are sane and elevators don't stall. Finance sets the tempo. Pre-sales can float early residential towers, but only if absorption is real and price per square meter tracks income, not just aspirational comps. A diversified cap table, sovereign seed, developer equity, export credit debt, and long lease institutional capital, buys schedule insurance. Transparency buys trust. Publish milestones, list contractors, show change logs. In markets where rumor travels faster than concrete cures, clarity is currency. Jobs aren't a line item, they are gravity. Anchor tenants matter less than ecosystems. Pair a logistics-free zone with a specialized manufacturing cluster, modular construction, green materials, or precision cooling for data centers. Wrap that with a university partnership and a visa regime that rewards builders and researchers. If the first 10,000 knowledge workers can land, rent, commute, and ship prototypes within a week, momentum becomes self-sustaining. The clock is merciless. Sandstorms don't read Gantt charts. To hit aggressive milestones, the build has to industrialize itself, off-site fabrication, design for assembly, standardized floor plates, and a ruthless materials strategy that hedges supply chain shocks. Sequence the critical path for utility corridors before glamour parcels. Use twin design tracks, one pushing signature districts, another freezing standardized components that can scale without reapproval every quarter. From an investor's seat, the question is downside first. What happens if global rates stay high, steel spikes, or a geopolitical shock ripples through shipping lanes? The counter is layered. Keep leverage conservative in early phases. Lock commodity exposure with indexed contracts. Stage launches to protect pricing power. And always have a credible slow-growth mode that holds quality and services even if absorption cools. Confidence doesn't come from bluster, it comes from options. For residents, value is time, temperature, and trust. Can I get my kid to school safely in 15 minutes at 45 degrees Celsius? Does the park have shade at 3 p.m.? Is the water clean, the power steady, the internet fast? If the answer is yes across a typical week, the city earns the one metric that matters, daily habit. Cities that win don't demand admiration, they earn default choice. Sustainability here isn't a badge, it's math. Net positive landscapes that drink treated water, solar fields that actually match load curves, building codes that penalize worst-in-class envelopes, and procurement that favors recycled aggregates and low-carbon cement. Publish the numbers. Third-party verify them. If the data persuades skeptics, capital gets cheaper and talent shows up. What would you fund first to beat the clock, and why today?